In our previous video, we understood about different types of interfaces that are available in the FortiGate firewall. So as a continuation to that, in this video, let's understand about VLAN. Okay. So VLAN is one of the type of interfaces, right? So in this video, let's see how to configure VLAN or how to configure a multiple VLANs to the same interface. All right. So for that, I have taken this topology. Slowly, we'll be extending our topology. So for now, okay, starting with we have one zone. Maybe we're not going to configure a zone for now. Just for a consideration, I have given here. All right. Just consider that we have two different LAN. Okay. One is VLAN 10 and the other one is VLAN 20. All right. So I have one server from VLAN 10 and I have another server from VLAN 20. And we are going to configure this IP for each, it's going to act as a gateway to this network, right? So obviously for this server one, I'm going to configure IP address 172.16.10.100, and this interface, like from here, I'm going to configure a VLAN 10 and going to assign a IP address 172.16.10.1 as the gateway to this VLAN. Same for VLAN 20, I'm going to configure IP address 172.16.20.100. We are going to make a changes in the third octet based on the VLAN number. All right. And same, I'm going to create a new VLAN, like VLAN 20. I'm going to configure 172.16.20.1, and this IP, it's going to act as the gateway for this network. All right. Let's see how to do it. So first, let's start with server configuration. So for server, like I'm going to use a Linux tiny code. All right. So let me open it. I have already added here. So this is a Linux tiny code. If you see here, configure IP address to it, you'll be seeing a control panel option here. Right. Yep. This one. Just click it. So under here, network. So once you select network, this particular setting will come up, and here we need to configure, whether if you want to get an IP address from the DHCP, you can make it yes, and you can do in such a way, like there is a way. Okay, I'll show you like how to make how to run as a DHCP server from the from the FortiGate firewall. But this time, like I want to configure specifically this IP address, right? So I'm just going with the static mode only. I'll by default it's in no. Okay. So I'm going to assign an IP address that's 172.16. As it is part of VLAN 10, the third octet is 10. All right. So the IP address is 100. And it's a /24 network. So the net mask is correct. And when it comes to gateway, like automatically it have taken the broadcast. And by gateway, it have taken 254. But I want to configure 10.1 as my gateway. All right. And this IP address I'm going to configure at the firewall end. So I'm just declaring the gateway as 10.1. So name server, the common one, Google 1.1.1.1. All right. So the thing is like save configuration, yes, right? So you need to click apply, but it doesn't mean that once you click apply, it will means it will go. No, it still remains the same. This page will not go automatically. Once you click apply, you can just put exit. Okay, so you can also verify, like means whatever the IP you have configured, right, whether is it still there or not. You can just go here, you'd be seeing something like terminal. Okay, so under terminal, you can, means if you want, you can enlarge it. And if config, basically it's a Linux utility, right? So you can put if config, and the IP address that I have configured is here, 172.16.10.100. Okay, and also like going forward, I'm going to extend the same topology. So like I want the server to be using the same IP address going forward, right? So in that case, like in general, okay, by default, when you use a Linux tiny code, and once you configure IP address, and if you power off the machine, and again if you power on, uh, by default the machine will lose its IP address. Okay, means it, you need to configure IP address every time when you power on. So in order to avoid it, like there is a command we can use. By using the command, so once we use that command, the IP address would get saved permanently. Like whenever you power off or power on, it uses the same IP address. All right. So the command is file tool dot sh space dash b. Okay. All right. So it's done now. It's saved. So basically, as I said, even if I power off the machine now and if I again try to power on, it will not lose this IP. It will hold the same IP going forward. So as the same, now we need to do it for server 2. So I'll put in this side. It came again in server 2. Like I need to do the same. Okay. So for better visibility, I have just reduced the screen resolution so you could see that name of the server, right? So it's mentioned as like server 2. All right. So we need to follow the same steps. Like first we need to go to the control panel, and under control panel, go to network. So by default, DHCP is disabled. Like we need to configure it, the IPs manually. All right. So it's 172.16.20.100. As I said earlier, like if you're using a DHCP server from this interface for this VLAN, ensure that you have enabled this. Yes. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll be discussing about that in the upcoming videos, but in this video, I'll show you with the static or static method only. Okay. So in the upcoming videos, while we're discussing some other topics, I'll show you how the DHCP server works. Okay. So the broadcast it would automatically take, and again here I'm just changing the gateway, or I'm just declaring a gateway as like 172.16.20.1 because I'm going to configure the 20.1 only at this interface. All right. So the naming server is again the Google DNS 8.8.8.8 1.1.1. All right. So it is this particular option is saved, selected. Just click apply. So once you click apply, it got saved. You can just exit from here. Then if you want to check it, you can just go back to your terminal. Here, this is the terminal. Okay. Just click it, and you can also like either you can just click in. Okay. By using the command if config, you can verify it. Like so, this is the IP address that I have configured, like 172.16.20.100, right? Because it is a part of my VLAN 20. So again, here too, I need to use the command in order to preserve the IP, right? File tool dot sh space dash b. All right, it's done. Okay, so the configurations means basically the IP configurations, nothing more than that. The configurations from the server side is done now. All right, let's minimize this both and let's configure the switch. And once the switch configuration is done, then let's go to the firewall. All right, I'll open the switch. Okay. So we have three interfaces like as per this topology. If you see the ETH 0/1, it is connected to this server that is part of VLAN 10, and ETH 0/2 is part of VLAN 20. And when it comes to ETH 0/0, it is part of means it is connected to FortiGate. All right, and means as this 0/1 is connected to VLAN 10, we are going to make it as an access port, carry the traffic for VLAN 10 only. As same ETH 0/2 would carry the traffic only for VLAN 20. However, when it comes to 0/0, we will make it as a trunk port to carry both the traffic like VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Right? Fine. So first thing, like I just get into the config terminal and let's give some name. Okay. So this is a part of a LAN switch. So I'll name it as like LAN switch. Okay. We're just giving a name, host name. All right. Now we need to configure the interfaces. I'll start with ETH 0/1. All right. So no shut. And then it is a part of access port to carry VLAN 10 traffic, right? Switch port mode access. So I'm declaring this particular interface as an access port. Then I need to define switch port access VLAN in. That is, it's going to carry, oh, I'm sorry. We have not yet created VLAN 10 and 20. However, by this command, it should have already created now. Like if I put do show VLAN brief, see now it's created. Okay, so you can also create, before I getting into the configuration of the other interface, I'll just create VLAN 20. Okay, so let's give a name to it. It is VLAN 20. That's it. So though VLAN 10 like means, even if in case you have not created, but when you try to declare here, right, it pop up an error message like, so far there is no VLAN exist in the name of 10, but I'm creating now newly. Okay, so it's created now. Okay, the name it's mentioned as like this one. If you want, you can change it like, or if you want to leave it the same, you can leave it name VLAN 10. All right, exit again. Do show VLAN brief. See, now we have two VLANs, right? And this particular interface is already configured. As same, we are going to configure ATH 0/2. So interface ATH 0/2, uh, no shut, all right? And switch port mode access, because it's going to carry only VLAN 20 traffic, right? Switch port access VLAN 20. That's it for this side. Do show interface. All right. So if you see here now, we have completed the configuration for ETH01 and ETH02. Also, if you look, do show VLAN brief. See, VLAN 10 is configured to port ETH01 and VLAN 20 to ETH 0/2. All right, fine. So now we need to configure ETH 0/0. We need to make it as a trunk port, as I said earlier. So interface Ethernet 0/0, no shutdown. All right. So first of all, we need to make it a trunk port. So before that, we need to define the encapsulation, right? Switch port trunk encapsulation dot on queue. Let's use dot on queue, and switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk allowed VLAN all. All right, that's it. So now the configuration at the switch side is done. And if you check the configuration, show run. So this is the name of the switch that we have configured. And if you see for the 0/0, we configured as a trunk interface, and encapsulation type is dot on queue. And when it comes to 0/1, we made it as an access port, and it carries the VLAN 10 traffic. And ETH 0/2, it's again an access port, but it carries VLAN 20 traffic. All right, fine. So now the configurations at both the servers as well as the switch side is done. It's time to configure our FortiGate firewall. All right. So now what we are going to do, like in the FortiGate firewall, okay, in the FortiGate firewall, we are just going to, if you see here, we have connected a switch with port 2, right? So under port 2 means basically we are going to port 2 and configure it. But we are not going to configure this IP address directly to the port 2. Instead, what we are going to do, we are going to create two different VLAN. One is VLAN 10 and the other one is VLAN 20. And for VLAN 10, we are going to assign this IP address. And for VLAN 20, we are going to give this IP address. And both of them are going to be part of port 2. Okay, once it is done and configured, and if you try to ping or establish a connectivity from here to here or from here to here, it should be reachable. As same from this server to this interface like 20.1, or from 20.1 to here, it should be reachable. So this is what we are going to see in this video, as I said earlier, because this video is primarily about how to configure multiple VLANs, dealing with multiple VLANs in the FortiGate firewall. And as I said, slowly we'll be enlarging the topology based on the topics in upcoming videos. All right. So now let me go to the FortiGate firewall. Okay. So we are in the dashboard now. So as I said, so this is connected to port 2, right? And this is VLAN 10 and this is VLAN 20. All right. So first one, let me go to the network here, because in the previous section or in the previous video we have seen, right? So interfaces or the types of interfaces are part of network configurations. So I just selected networks, and under networks I have selected interfaces. And once I select interface, so this is the page I came here. All right, first let me configure port 2. Okay, just double click here, and this is the port 2 configuration. This is the alias, like name to it. Okay, I would configure this as a LAN. Okay, this particular interface is going to act as a LAN port. Okay, and maybe as I said, when we are extending our topology, we'll be creating a new interfaces, and we can give a name to it accordingly. So for now, port 2 is the LAN port. All right. And we can assign a role to this port, right? So by default, it's undefined. Maybe we can define a role to it. As it is a LAN zone, I'm just going to define it as a LAN. All right. So the next part, like this is important. We don't need to configure any IP addresses. As I said earlier, we are not going to declare or configure IP addresses to the interface level. Instead, we are going to create a VLAN and to assign IP address to the VLANs. It's a kind of an SVI. All right. So let it be blank with no IP address here. I'm not making any changes here. Scroll down. Maybe I'll just select HTTPS and ping. Okay, because we have discussed it earlier, right? So this is for administrative access. So that's only then if you enable a ping, if you try to establish ICMP ping from here to check the connectivity, you will get a response. If you have not selected a ping, then obviously it will not respond. Even though your request is hitting the firewall will never respond to it. All right, so nothing more than that here. Click OK. All right, so port 2 configuration is done. However, we need to create a VLAN and configure it, right? So again, create new, go to this option, and you'll be seeing an option interfaces here. Select it, and here, okay. By default, the type of the interface is VLAN. Okay, if you want to change something, you can make it. But this video is about handling VLANs, right? So I'm just going with this option only. Uh, so first I need to create a VLAN 10. Okay, so I'm giving the name as VLAN 10 only, and then alias name is also VLAN 10. All right, then let's use a .1 queue only. Uh, you know the tagging interface. Okay, now I'm creating a VLAN. To which interface it should add? The physical interface. It's part of my LAN port, right? The port to 2, which is referred as a LAN interface. So I'm going to assign this VLAN to this interface, right? So I'm just adding it here. And I need to define the VLAN ID here. So first I am creating this VLAN for VLAN 10, right? So I'm declaring the VLAN ID as 10. And again, means VLAN ID is used to buy another VLAN switch. Let's check, like we would have configured it earlier, and we might have forgot to delete it. Okay, this is something like configured earlier. Let me delete it. All right. All right. It's deleted. Can be deleted. The same. I should remove it for this one as well. So this one is configured earlier, so that it's still available. Let me delete it. VLAN 20. All right. So now VLAN, the port 2 doesn't have any VLAN associated with it. So again, I'm just going back, create new interfaces, um, VLAN 10, and the alias name is again VLAN 10, and the type of interface is VLAN. It's going to use .1 queue. And when it comes to interface, it is going to use the LAN, like the port 2, right? And again, VLAN ID is 10 as earlier. Fine. So this is the place where we stuck last time, right? All right. So now it's going to the next place. Like we have already given the LAN role to it. So last time, if you remember, when we configuring the port 2, like we don't configure any IP address to it. However, this time, like when you configure a VLAN, we need to configure the IP address because based on our topology, we want to have a gateway for this network and for this network here, right? At port 2, basically based on VLAN. So let me configure a IP address here. Like for VLAN 10, it is 172.16.10.1, right? It's a /24 network. Let it be. And if you want to have a secondary IP address, definitely you can have it, but we'll be discussing about this later. And I'm just enabling this thing like HTTPS, HTTP, ping, SSH. Okay, this is fine. And that's it. Like as I said, we'll be discussing about this DHCP server and all later in the upcoming videos. That's it. Click OK. So the moment I means earlier, if you see here, the LAN port 2 looks like this. Okay, but the moment when I created a new VLAN, if you see, you'll be seeing the plus option here. If you click here, you can see that under this port, like we have a VLAN 10 configured. This is what it's telling. So now, again, once we configure VLAN 20, we can see that the VLAN 20 is also comes under port 2. Okay, let me go to create new interface. Let me give a name like VLAN dash 20. Alias name is VLAN 20. And again, it's going to use dot and q. And when it comes to interface, this is again part of port 2, right? Because both the VLANs are part of port. And the VLAN ID for this particular traffic is VLAN 20. And it already taken a LAN role. Fine. So here we need to configure the IP address. So 172.16.20.1. So this is the gateway for 20 VLAN, the VLAN number 20 or the 20 VLAN network. So as same for VLAN 10, I'm just selecting HTTP, HTTPS, ping, and SSH. That's it. Click OK. All right. So as I said earlier, if you select this plus option, now you can see both VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 IP address or the information and configuration of the VLANs that are configured under this LAN port. Okay. So IP addresses of thing and this is the administrative access of each VLAN. All right. So now we have configured the VLANs. Let's go and check from here, like from server 1. Okay. From here, let's try to ping this interface. Okay. Um, so this is server 1. And now let me try to ping 172.16.10.1. All right. So now we are getting a response. So basically, from here we are trying to reach the FortiGate. Okay, like a minute. All right, I just resized it again. See now what we are doing from this server, which has an IP 172.16.10.100. From here we are trying to ping 172.16.10.1. Nothing but this interface, like the gateway. Okay, we are getting a response. Like the same, let's just stop here for now. Let's go to server 2 and I'll just close this. Let's once again open it. So let me get now I'm in server 2, right? And the IP address is 172.16.20.400. So basically this server. From here I'm going to reach or ping 172.16.20.1, which is nothing but the gateway of this network. All right. So it's 172.16.20.1. Let's check. Yep. So we are getting a response. So basically, we have configured two different VLANs in our topology, and we have configured Palo Alto interface as a gateway to two different VLAN. So for that, again, at the Palo Alto, we have created two different VLAN, and configured different IP addresses to each VLAN. And from here, we are able to establish the communication. All right, fine. So this is what I want to show you in this video. Let's continue with the next video.